Yo, guys, what was the kid? It's the kid. It's the kid. It's the kid. It's the kid. It's the kid here for what I hope is going to be a weekly movie show. I try and do this every Wednesday. Of course, my priority has to obviously be the football hot and what's happening in there. But I just still try, organize things to try and give you at least a weekly snack, weekly supplements of movie stuff, man. So I think as the title shows me, why am I blinking up and down, man? As the title shows, we're going to be talking about The Witcher. I just got done watching Witcher, and I've got lots of stuff to say because I want to talk about it live here. Then I may do a separate video of it afterwards, and then I want to talk about movie awards and, do movie awards really matter? Do they really matter? Shout out to the guys in there. Shout out to your boy, Virgil Van Loveren. Oh, Van Loveren. Shout out to my man, Salah El Bukharen. Yes, I got your email, bro. I will be answering your movie questions. So let's just get straight down to it. So, The Witcher. Let me give you a bit of a background on this because I've got a few things to say about this because The Witcher has to be one of the most confusing TV show, one of the most confusing things that I've ever seen. I've seen some confusing things. Now, it's not the most, but it has to rank as one of the most confusing things I've ever seen. But let me just give you some background. Now, I kept hearing about Witcher, blah, blah, especially The Witcher 3. Everyone kept saying The Witcher 3 is one of the best games in recent times. So I was like, you know what, let me get The Witcher 3. So because I was busy and I played several games at one time, I only really got maybe like about first 20, 30 minutes of The Witcher. So they didn't really do that much of The Witcher 3 on the Xbox. But I got a feel for what the game's about, the lore, the story, and so forth. So, okay. So when I said, okay, they were not doing a TV show, I was like, you guys are not doing a TV show. And I've got my beef with Henry Cavill, and I think we're going to maybe talk more about Henry Cavill with regards to his performance in this. So when they said they were casting Henry Cavill, I was like, okay, that's just for star power. And people like him, so they want to bring in that goodwill. But keep it real, I'll keep it 100. Shout out to my African Americans out there, I'll keep it 100. The guy looked like the dude from the game. The guy looked like Geralt of Rivia. He looked like the guy from the game. So I was like, you know what? Hands up. That's just like he looks like the dude from the game. So I was like, okay, let's not write. So off the bat, from the first episode, I was like, okay, you shouldn't really be given everything in that first episode. You're just sort of like slowly coming through. So okay, look, man, I'll let it go through. I was very impressed by the fights. Now that's something that was, I think, the shining thing of this was fight choreography. Fight choreography on this was quality, absolutely quality. But I was like, okay, look, that's one side. Let's just see how it goes. So there were 8 episodes, I believe. I believe there were 8 episodes. And we're going to touch on power. I want to touch on power. But there were 8 episodes of this. And for those first 3-4 episodes, I had no idea what was happening. Keep in mind that I've played the game. Obviously, I've not finished the game. I've only played a bit of the game. But I've not read any of the books. I've not played the whole game. And for me, which I'm sure that 99% of the world, most people who would be watching this TV series because it's on Netflix and it's had a massive marketing campaign, most people watching it would not have read any of the books and most definitely not have played any of the games. So if you keep that in mind, how are you supposed to expect people to just grab things? Bro, I don't know whether they were in the past, in the present, in the future. They were jumping from storyline to storyline, flipping. I didn't really know who the heck who was. I was like, okay, so he's doing this sorcery, they're doing this sorcery, guys are coming in and out of elements. I was like, okay, so wait, why are you alive? Why are you dead and everything? I did not understand what the flipping heck was happening. But granted, because as I was tweeting this out, I was confused. But people on Twitter said, relax, everything will come to a head in the final episode. So Grant said, in the final episode, it did tie things up to a degree, but I'm still confused. I still don't know why this chick called Yennefer is such a big deal. I'll keep it with you. I still don't know why the chick called Yennefer is a big deal. I'm still not sure who the heck Geralt is. What the hell is a child of surprise? So for me, it's like, is that his child or is that not his child? Right? So I was confused there, man. So as a story, I'm not sure what was happening. I'll keep it real with you. I was not sure what was happening within the story. I didn't really know who those witches were. Milfgard, Milfgard, cheap joke. So I didn't know. Okay, so how are Milfgard connected with the witches? Like the Yennefer, her story didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, okay, so we see you and you look like a hunchback, and people are mocking you, and then afterwards you just change into this super beautiful lady and all that kind of. So then I was like, wait. Like that makes no sense, man. So that made zero sense to me. But if I was going to rate this whole thing overall, man, and so shout out to the guys in there. Yeah, look, man, I'll talk about Tariq, man. Just Tariq is a prick. So if I'll just rate this and just rate this overall and see how this would go, man. I want to start first with Henry Cavill, man, because he is obviously the heart of this whole thing. Henry Cavill is a decent actor. He's decent. He's not a great actor. And if he was charismatic, then he would make up for his lack of acting. Very good example, Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood is not a good actor at all. And he knows that. That's why he transitioned to directing. Clint Eastwood is not a good actor, but he has amazing charisma. And Sergio Leone knew how to harness his incredible charisma. When he started using the voice, yeah, I'm Gerald, and this is not happening. What the child's of surprise? I was like, okay, so this is evoking a bit of Christian Bale, Batman. It was a bit weird to begin with when he was using the voice. I'll keep it real with you. But afterwards, I got used to it, but it was still a bit like there were moments where Henry Cavill did look good. There were moments where he looked, and for me, it's like he has good posture and he has like a very good movie face. You know what? The perfect example is Jason Momoa. Henry Cavill and Jason Momoa are very similar. The fact that they've got a very useful movie face. They've got a face that you can use for many, many different kinds of characters because they've got a kind of a caricature face that you see drawn in many of these video games and comics and everything, man. But Momoa and Henry Cavill aren't actually very good actors. And they're really pretty much getting a career based on their faces, because they've got useful faces to have. Because there are times where Henry Cavill wants to say anything and they will just sort of like put the camera on him. And I'm like, oh, wow, this looks like exactly from the video game. It literally looks like they've taken an image for the video game onto here, just based off what his face looks like with the with his white wig and his push and everything. And I think this guy, so Alex Wondra says his interpretation of Geralt was inspired from the games. For me, look, we put in there. So look, the thing about Alex Wondra is that if you're doing an adaptation, don't mimic. Don't mimic. Because that is the wrong way to go about doing these things, man. So I say he's mimicking Joshua. Don't mimic. You shouldn't mimic. Make a performance. The video game is the video game, and even trust me, even when I was playing the video game, I was like, this voice sounds cheesy. when I was playing the game, and whenever they got into the cutscene, I was like, bruh, this voice sounds cheesy. But I get it. It's a video game. And this is maybe a critique of video games, because video games can be very, very cheesy, because video games because there is like an archetype of the video game hero, which video games need to advance on. Hence why it is so important that you got stuff like a Soul Reaver, a Heavy Rain, a GT, and everything, which kind of gives you much more realistic characters and everything. But there are a lot of very kind of like quote unquote typical characters. But the issue is that, you know, with Cavill is like he should have just created a performance that works with this world specifically for it being a film. I don't think that you owe anything to the fans and so forth. But I think so. Really, be beyond that. Netflix has cash, guys. I don't know where Netflix are getting this money from, but the production value on this was stunning. This is just for a TV show, just for a flipping TV show. And with regards to the graphics, the set design, the production, the design, the use of effects and everything, I'm like, oh, this stuff looks pretty damn good. This stuff looks pretty damn good. But I think, you know, the standouts for me was the fight choreography. And you could tell that, especially I think in the last episode, because I've not played the game for a long time, but I do remember like there were definitely instances where like the camera would be like in the final episode, the camera would be behind Cavill, and you just see how he starts swiping through guys and everything, and the way he fought is almost identical to how it was in the game. So obviously they were really giving those guys the game, but even beyond just Gerald, just all the fight scenes, even the fight scene with, I can't remember his name, like the I think Indian guy, I believe, with the sword against the other white guy with the blonde hair. That was a really good fight as well. So the way the fights were done, the way they were filmed, because a issue I've always had with Hollywood is how they film fight scenes. You know, shaky cam, quick cuts, you can't tell what is happening. So it was so good viewing a fight scene, you can call it a Hollywood system or not, where you can actually see everything that is happening. There are not too many cuts, and it's a nice wide shot. Pretty much like how you see stuff in the Matrix, where it's a wide shot, you can see everything that is happening, and you're never really confused. But just think, you know, overall for The Witcher, man, I don't even know how to even rate it. That's the thing, because I don't know what the hell was happening in this damn story. Like, so at the end of it and everything, I'm like, okay, why is Yennefer so powerful? Why is she so strong? Who the hell are these witches? Why did that witch backstab her? Gerald, so okay, who's that? That's what's it called, Ciri? Because I remember Ciri from the game. Who the hell is Ciri? Why is she so strong? Is she really the daughter of that queen? And why is Ciri connected to? There's just so much of this stuff coming through. It just doesn't make sense for me. So this is the better way to put it. If you've read the books, or you're a fan of or basically if you've read the books, or you've played the games, and you're a fan of the games or the books, I think you will love this. I can just tell from viewing this that, you know what, this was made for people who know the law. But I'm going to be interested to find out people who don't, because again, most of the people who I know have seen it, have either played the game or they read the books. But for the people like me who haven't read the books and haven't finished the game, only started the game, are they going to be as confused as me? Because surely you have to be as confused as me, because a lot of times they just take it for granted that you know the stuff, man. You know, they just take the stuff for granted. So that's what for me. But look, man, beyond that, like again, you see, I think going back to Henry Cavill, man, this should really be his thing now. I think that Superman is done and finished, and I do think that this is maybe a blessing in disguise for Warner Brothers, because I think for Warner Brothers, they've been trying to find a way of saying to Cavill that, look, we want to move on from you. And I just never felt that Cavill and Superman was a good match. It was just never a good match. I think anybody who looks at Man of Steel and calls that a good film, you're on crack. You know, you're really on crack, because I believe it was John Campbell who actually said that Man of Steel is a masterpiece. Man of Steel is a crap film. Great intro, crap film, but beyond that, because even if the film is crap and the story isn't that great, because Zack Snyder is a crap filmmaker, Michael Shannon, I think that's his name? Michael Shannon was really good. He was really good. So you can still put forth a good performance in a bad film, which is what Michael Shannon did, and which is what Russell Crowe did. But I think for Henry Cavill, his performance was very boring. And I just think the issue with Henry Cavill is that he's a bit stale and it's a bit dull. What it gives me charisma to Jason Momoa. See, Jason Momoa has a lot of charisma. You know, like if Jason Momoa can find the right kind of vehicle, the right kind of story, I think, because basically Jason Momoa I liken to The Rock. I liken Jason Momoa to The Rock, but I think that Jason Momoa has a much more interesting face than The Rock. If Momoa found the right property that's really accentuated his charisma, because the guy has a lot of charisma, he'd do great. The issue with Henry Cavill is that he doesn't have any charisma. He doesn't have the charisma of The Rock. He doesn't have the charisma of a Jason Momoa. You know, but he does have the right face. And the key thing, and the answer, we've got to keep it real. Women love this dude. So if women love you, and we're living in a world where women outnumber men, you're in a very good spot. You're in a really good safe situation if women love you, man. So, but I think if I was advising Henry Cavill and I was his PM, man, I would say forget Superman. You know, especially after Joker, what one has seen with Joker, I think that they may go aggressively in a whole new direction with Superman. And I think that, and the issue is Henry Cavill 100% loves playing the Superman character, and I think he has tried so hard to be the Superman character. I get it, but yeah, sometimes you have to just accept it, hold the L, and just move on. Hold the L and just move on. But yeah, so just in total, rounding off the whole Witcher thing, man. Confused. Didn't know what was happening. I don't feel that I was given a story that I could follow through from beginning to end. So I just got finished confused and so forth. But superb fight choreography, great production, the design, some really cool visuals, some very violent, pretty damn violent. Some of the magical powers and the sorcery was really cool. I really liked it. Because hey, look, man, I'm a fantasy dude, man. So some of the sorcery was really, really cool that they did with the witches. But yeah, like again, I was just confused with regards to how everything was rolling through. So let me just take some of your comments that are happening in here, man. So they say Momoa, The Rock, and Cavill equals a modern day Arnold, JCVD, and Bruce Willis. Stop it. Levi, stop it. Levi, that is an insult to Arnie, JCVD, and Bruce Willis. Because we have to accept this. There will never be an Arnie. There will never, ever, ever be another Arnie. Fact. Arnie is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. We could have another JCVD. We could have another Bruce Willis. We could definitely have another Bruce Willis. It's going to be hard. We could. Like for me, obviously, we're going to go to our next topic, which of course are movie nominations. But let me just touch on this now. Let me touch on those, specifically The Rock, because I've already talked about Momoa and Cavill, and I think I mentioned this about The Rock before. The Rock is a businessman. He's not an actor. He's a businessman. And The Rock will look back on his movie career and be like, why didn't I do something that's best utilize my talents? I was the biggest Rock fan back in his resident days. Biggest Rock fan. And I would argue that with regards to skills on the mic, is between The Rock and Hulk Hogan. And I think that it is crazy. The Rock, you've been in Hollywood this long and you've not managed. You have not, let me put this word, and you have not managed to been able to actually get a film that's best utilizing your talents. That best utilizes your talents. For me, I find that unfortunate. You know. But we're living in a different world, technological world right now. I think because of the society that we live in, it is important for us to have an Arnie, JCVD, and Bruce Willis, because in the days of Arnie, JCVD, and Bruce Willis, the world was different. the world was realer. It was a realer world, and that was a time when no Twitter, no Facebook, no stuff. It was about making films. So it was not about doing memes, going on Instagram, making viral videos. It was about no, you have to make a film. Whatever stuff you're doing, whether it's an action thing, sci-fi, whatever, you could make a film. Right now, you just have to make a film. You just have to make stuff that appeals to the Generation X or the millennium and all that kind of stuff, man. So that's it. Let's see what I'm saying. So Ugo Grassa says, to be fair, the books and the style they are written in can be confusing too. I still loved it though. Yeah, look, Ugo, man, I didn't really read the books. So me not reading the books, I think really it just did not coincide with me. And I think it's one of those things where you have to probably read the books in order for you to really understand what the hell are going on. Joel Ember says the pacing was off, but Carol pulls it off as Geralt. Based off the video game, cool. You know, I would have still wanted him to give much more of a real performance rather than mimicking. But in terms of you want to evoke what was the dude in the video game, I think he did a spot on job, and I think that's the look and everything was great. You know, so the makeup job and everything did a really good look. Forget the pacing. The story was all over the place. You know, like pacing is one thing, but there are too many random things happening without any explanation. You don't know. Now you don't need to explain everything, but my God, you gotta explain some stuff, and stuff was just happening out of nowhere, man. Let's see. I don't know. So King Darren, I'll maybe do that question towards the end. Direction DC takes Superman, because that's a very good question with regards to what direction should they take with Superman. But I will answer that afterwards. So let's move over to the next topic I want to do. Movie awards. Do movie awards matter? Because every single year, especially we're in this season right now in January and February, where we're like, nominations, and people like, Oscars so white. This guy wasn't nominated. This thing should be nominated. Oh, this guy won and everything. I say to myself that because even Joaquin Phoenix even alluded to it when he picked up his Golden Globe about why are we in competition? Why are we in competition? And I compare this whole thing of movie awards to like the Ballon d'Or. And this is what puts something like the World Cup and the Champions League over stuff like the Oscars, Golden Globes, and so forth, because you don't win an Oscar. How do this is yeah, man? I end the win. How do you earn a win from an Oscar or so forth? How? You earn a win in a World Cup. In a Champions League, you earn a win. You go out there and you have to go out and beat that team, be better than that team. It's you against those guys. For an award, it's subjective. As much as the intention of Oscars, BAFTAs, Golden Globes, they wanted to be objective. Oh no, this person by panel, we believe this person deserved it. No. At the end of the day, we're dealing with art. You see, sports is X's and O's. You either win or you lose in sports. So Germany deserved to win that 2014 World Cup. Liverpool deserved to win that Champions League because they went out there and they beat those teams. How one person can say this performance is great. Another person can say this performance is great. Like for me, I watched Hurricane and I watched American Beauty. I don't understand. Like Kevin Spacey was really good in American Beauty. Denzel was incredible in Hurricane. So for me, Denzel Washington was the best actor and should have deserved the award for Hurricane. But it went to Kevin Spacey, American Beauty, because maybe for white people, they could connect more with his performance in that as opposed to what Denzel did in Hurricane, which is cool because at the end of the day, it's subjective. Like when these guys are watching these films, they're not watching it with like a machinery, but okay, so he's done these right emotions, he's done this eye twitch. No, they just watch it. And for some people, a performance will connect with them more than another one. Perfect example. Perfect example. Let me even get this name. Wait. I want to just make sure that I get this right because I want to remember his name. Because this is the perfect example. I want to make sure I get it. So, To Kill a Mockingbird. Come on. All right. Gregory Peck. Now, 1962. These were the two main films that came out in 1962. And one of these films you should watch. The other film, To Kill a Mockingbird, Lawrence of Arabia. All of you guys in here, this is the entertainment show, but I told you I'm a film merchant out here. You have to watch Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia is one of the greatest films of all time. And it is the definition of what you call an epic film. Two performances from Gregory Peck and Peter O'Toole. Now, I watched To Kill a Mockingbird, and I get it. And I get why he won. I didn't really like the film. I thought the film was very cheesy, and it was very much an Oscar bait film. And I thought that Gregory Peck was cool. Lawrence of Arabia is a masterpiece by David Lean. What Peter O'Toole did for 3+ hours. Lawrence of Arabia has an intermission. This ain't Lord of the Rings, which has massive battle scenes, you have to have CGI and everything. This is just a straight drama for over 3 hours, led by Peter O'Toole, who gives an outstanding performance. What Peter O'Toole did is incredible. When you just look at it, the length and the amount of acting that he has to do for so long. And guess who won the Oscar? Gregory Peck. Now, why did Gregory Peck win? He won because for white people, especially in that day and age, this was what they want. It was basically, he played a character that people envisioned themselves to be. The white guy who stands up against racism and saves the black dude. That is a simple Oscar bait thing. It's why Crash won. It's why Green Book won. That's what people love. So that's being subjective. If you're being objective, it's not even a debate. Like Peter O'Toole was incredible. Peter O'Toole wins that hands down, which is why Peter O'Toole always had that kind of chip on his shoulder that he never really won, And I think Peter O'Toole, because he knew that he had given such an amazing performance, and everyone knew that he was so amazing, he didn't feel like he agreed. But for Peter O'Toole, I think he knew deep down that this ain't objective. It's subjective. So these movie awards, they don't really matter. Another example. Let me bring this up because this is shocking. Al Pacino. I think you guys know who Al Pacino is. I think you know who he is. Let's bring up Al Pacino. Trivia, to be short. Let me ask the live chat this. How many Oscars do you think Al Pacino has won? The great Al Pacino of Serpico, of Godfather, of Scarface, of what's it called? I forgot the name of that film that he does with John Cazale. So just tell me, how many Oscars do you think your boy, Dog Day Afternoon. How many Oscars do you think Al Pacino has won? I'm seeing one, two, one. The answer is 1. And national opinion, he didn't win for Godfather. He won for Salah, you're right. He won for Sense of a Woman. Elbow Bob Carragher runs for Sense of a Woman. So this is a guy, because I'm going to do like a, when am I do my recommendations? I'm going to do Serpico. What this guy did in Serpico, the acting that Pacino did in Serpico. Because I want to even bring some of this on. So Godfather Part 2, which was an incredible performance by this guy. Because see, a lot of people focus on what De Niro did. De Niro was great. what Pacino did in Godfather 2. The hell? I want to just roll this through. So this is the 1970s. So he was he was a lead. Okay, what's what? Shut up, man. A dude called Art. So the guys who were up for it was Jack Nicholson for Chinatown, Albert Finney for Modern Orient Express, Dustin Hoffman for Lenny. And a dude called Art Carney won for Harry and Tonto. Has anybody heard of a guy called Art Carney? Has anybody watched Harry and Tonto? But like, I've never heard of this film before. I've never heard of that guy before. But people know of Al Pacino and his performance in Godfather 2 being one of the most iconic performances of all time. Let's go again. Let's go again. Another one that I think that is incredible of his is wait. Was he even no wait. I want to go to Seppico. He better be nominated for Seppico, bro. All right. Okay. Man, this guy did some. So again, Jack Lemmon, I'm sure he's a great guy and everything. Jack Lemmon won it for Save the Tiger. Save the Tiger. I've never even heard of this film. Jack Lemmon and Save the Tiger. I don't even need to watch it to know that Al Pacino's performance in Seppico was better. Let's go again. Now let's go to one that you guys all love, Scarface. Let's go to Scarface. Because I want to just prove about how movie awards are just stupid. And I don't know why people even care about them. So let's go to Scarface. So Scarface, you know, this dude wasn't even nominated for an Oscar in Scarface. But I want to see who won the Golden Globe thing. So blah blah. Best. What the hell? No. Okay. Motion picture. Dream places. So it was a tie. So Robert Duvall won for Tender Mercies and Tom Courtenay won for The Dresser. I don't have even heard of these films. So that's just an example here. Al Pacino has given some of the most incredible performances we've ever seen. He didn't win for Seppico. He didn't win for Godfather 1. He didn't win for Godfather 2. He didn't win for Scarface. But the key thing is this. Who talks about Atlani and Harry and Tonto? Who talks about the one with Robert Duvall? You go to any street, people talk about Scarface. Tony Montana. You walk through, you see that guy, he's talking about Tony Montana. People talk about Seppico, bro. Godfather 2 is embedded in a society. Michael Corleone, Tony Montana are embedded in a society. So the real thing is, winning these awards don't matter. Caring about these awards don't matter. What matters is, do you make a performance or a film that connects with the audience? Do you make a film that connects with the audience? Have you heard of a guy called Stanley Kubrick? No. Have you heard of a guy called Stanley Kubrick? Have you heard of a guy called Stanley Kubrick? Clockwork Orange? Dr. Strangelove? What's the other one? 2001: A Space Odyssey. Kubrick has never won an Oscar. This is seen as one of the most iconic directors of all time. He has never won an Oscar. Alfred Hitchcock, a guy who pretty much is the most influential thriller director of all time. With every thriller film that you see being made was inspired by Alfred Hitchcock. He is the godfather of making thriller films. Never won an Oscar. Have you heard of a dude called Ridley Scott? Alien, Gladiator, Kingdom of Heaven. Never won an Oscar. Have you ever called David Fincher? Social Network, Seven, Fight Club. It's never won an Oscar. So it's like, again, using the quality H line, how important are movie awards really? How important are movie awards really? When these legends happen to one, so it goes to the point of where it's like this, they don't matter because they're not being objective. Because if you're being objective, Kubrick should have Oscars. Pacini should have Oscars. Ridley Scott should have Oscars. Because see, in the year that Ridley Scott should have won was the year of Traffic by Steven Soderbergh. Now, I've seen both films. Traffic is a really good film. Traffic is a really good film. In my opinion, I mean, people will disagree with me in this. I feel that Traffic should have won Best Picture. You see, Godfather is a good film, but I think the standout things in Godfather is really Scott and Joaquin Phoenix. People call me crazy. Also, Crowell was good, but for me, I feel the standouts in Godfather. The standouts in Gladiator was really Scott's incredible direction, and in my opinion, one of the greatest performances of all time, in which what Joaquin Phoenix did. But for me, I think Traffic was such a well-done film. Traffic should have just been like, boom, give it like that. And the crazy thing in that year as well, I'm a huge Benicio del Toro fan. Huge Benicio del Toro fan. And he won the Oscar for that for Best Supporting Actor over Joaquin Phoenix. It's like, bruh. So, man, Kubrick, I mean, the goal. So it's like, it's about, do you make a film that resonates with audiences? One of my favorite films of all time is The Cable Guy. The Cable Guy was a box office flop. The Cable Guy won no awards. And people view The Cable Guy as probably one of Jim Carrey's worst films. But why does it matter to me that whether Cable Guy wins awards or not? For me, it is the funniest film I've ever seen in my life. So as long as it makes me happy and I get enjoyment from it, that's cool. Why do I need it to be awarded for it to be validated? The only validation that matters is my validation. That's the only one that really matters. And perfect example was what happened recently. I did a video on it. I'm sure Brad Pitt is a nice guy. I'm sure Brad Pitt is a nice guy. Brad Pitt is not a great actor. Brad Pitt has only given one really good performance, and that was in 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys is the only time, wow, Brad Pitt, this was pretty good. Apart from 12 Monkeys, Seven, one of my favorite films of all time. Denzel Washington was supposed to be in Seven. It would have been Denzel and Morgan Freeman in Seven. But Denzel read the script and said that this stuff is too dark. I can't do it. This stuff is just way too dark. And then it went with Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt was cooler in Seven, but let's keep it real. If you had Denzel and Morgan Freeman in Seven, bro, that film would have gone to a different level. Because for me, when Brad Pitt won the Golden Globe, I was just saying, imagine what Al Pacino is thinking. Because Al Pacino was like, I gave that kind of a performance in Irishman. And I'm looking at Brad Pitt, Brad Pitt acted as himself. Because I could go a little bit deeper. I don't know whether people want to. I could go a little bit deeper into why it was given to him. Could be deeper, but maybe I'll do that for a separate video because I know what's going on there. You can just connect the dots. But it's like, I don't know. I'm gonna watch again. I'm gonna watch two popes because I didn't watch Two Popes and Marriage Story. But yeah, so that's my thing. There's like, look, all that matters is you do a film or you produce a performance that is remembered for time. That's what you do. You do a performance that is remembered for time, and that should all that count. That's why I hate Oscar bait films, which is why Crash is such a disgusting film, because Crash was, please give me an Oscar, please give me an Oscar. That's what think it was about. All right, man. So for the last 20 minutes, man, I'm going to take all of your questions. So guys, send in your film questions. Send in those film questions, and I will take your questions right now. So send in your film questions right now. And remember to like the video, like that video, man. So thank you all guys for joining. So let's see, Joel. Movie of the decade. I should have done this as a video. Now, people may think this is crazy. Edge of Tomorrow. I know, it sounds crazy, it sounds muddy. Like, for me, the film of the decade for me is Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow was a fantastic film. Fantastic film. Entertaining, engaging, smart. I've bought the manga, so I need to actually read the manga because I really want to read the manga. And just quality. So for me, the film of the decade for me was Edge of Tomorrow. I mean, this decade, how many classics did we really get this decade? Because for me, Apocalypto was last decade. See, if we want to go for last decade, easily Apocalypto. Easily Apocalypto for the last decade, you know. And the decade beyond that, I'm going to roll with T2. But for this decade, yeah, I mean, and people say it's crazy. People look at Inception. People may say Dark Knight. Not me. And you know what? Edge of Tomorrow, I would put forth an argument that Parasite second. I don't know how many of you have seen this or not. Parasite is a really good film. Like, if it was down to me, Parasite should win Film of the Year for a couple of reasons. The first reason why you give it to Parasite is because it's such a fresh film, so new and refreshing, that I think that it would be a very good statement for the film industry with regards to creativity and on originality if something like Parasite won, because it is such a fresh story, a new kind of story that you've never really seen before. The second thing, and this is even alluding to what Bong Joon-ho said in his speech, watch films with subtitles. I put up a post on Reddit. Some of you have actually seen me on Reddit there as Dr. Halford. I put up a post on Reddit, which is that there are still people who have issues with subtitles, and there are people that were saying to me that, oh, no, I can't watch a film and read it at the same time. Oh, if I wanted to read something, I'd read a book. There are people that refuse to watch films because there are subtitles. So basically, you can't watch any quality anime. You can't watch any quality films. So, and what Bong Joon-ho was saying that you are closing your mind off of some great films because you don't want to read subtitles. The world doesn't revolve around Hollywood. Like, some of the best films I've seen, read the subtitles. What's it called? Look at the Kurosawa films, Hidden Fortress, Yojimbo, Seven Samurai. You look at The Chaser, you look at Old Boy, you look at damn it, what's the name of that Japanese film? Battle Royale, Parasites. So these are some fantastic films. But if you can't, because you don't want to read the subtitle, oh no, that's wild, man. All right. Let's see. I think I saw another interesting one, man. Thoughts on Tenet from what we know so far? It's definitely going to be, this for me, Tenet, I really feel like if Tenet is connected to Inception, it looks too similar to Inception. And I'm interested to know what the story is going to be about. I don't know whether Chris is partnering with Jonah on this or not, because I think whenever they work together, I think they should do really well. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to involve time travel for sure. And I think it's just going to involve them going in, basically messing with time. I think a big thing in this is investigating the concept of time and manipulating time, you know. And I just hope that Nolan can go back to that his Memento thing of like really intricate storytelling. See, what I've always said is that Nolan isn't good at making blockbusters or entertaining films. His strength is Insomnia, Memento, Prestige. That is his strength. Really clever, smart storytelling. I think if you can bring that in there, just really smart, intricate storytelling, I'm very much into this. I mean, even that scene at the end of the trailer where like you see John David Washington's character say, "Yo, no, this hasn't happened yet," and he's now that kind of SWAT team guy is sort of like coming in reverse because they sort of like jumped into the future before something has happened. So basically, it's crazy. So basically, you're working with one part of time is going forward, one part of time is going backward. You're going before something has happened. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of time manipulation. So it's going to be cool, man. So what about Casey Affleck beating out Denzel for Best Actor in Fences? See, I've not seen Manchester by the Sea, but Denzel was amazing in Fences. But I still need to watch Manchester by the Sea. But I think for Denzel in Fences, it wasn't like Denzel in Hurricane. Denzel in Hurricane, bruh, that guy was A1, man. Okay, let's see what else we're gonna say. Oh yeah, how do you rate Jack Nicholson as an actor, man? Oh, see, for me, there are two types of acting. There is the character acting, which is what Gary Oldman is the best at, then followed by Daniel Day-Lewis. And there's just the kind of like emotional acting where you bring yourself into it, which I think Jack Nicholson is one of the best at. And the reason why Brando might be the greatest of all time is because Brando was very good at doing the character acting and very good at doing the emotional, bringing yourself into the acting. Perfectly done. If you like his character work is what you saw in Godfather 1, and his emotional bringing yourself into it method thing was what he did in Apocalypse Now. But for Jack Nicholson, people say, "Oh no, Jack Nicholson, he just plays himself. He just plays himself." No, Jack Nicholson is one of those guys where he's born with the X factor. Like I always say, I was even discussing this with my mom over Christmas, that if you walk into a room, and let's say you didn't know who Jack Nicholson was, you just walked into a room, you didn't know who Jack Nicholson was, you would be glued to him. He's got a face and an aura that just commands your presence. And I think that's his incredible charisma. We're like, even before he says anything, you're like, who is this dude? Just by his eyes, his eyebrows, there is so much going on in his face. You're like, wait, who is this dude? Another guy similar to that is Joaquin Phoenix, where there's just something, there's so much going on in his face that he's already done half the work already, man. But what I always say about Jack Nicholson is this, about his Joker film. Sorry, his Joker performance. And I remember watching the DVD, and people were saying that even before he performed the role, people were like, no, this is great, he'll be amazing. But you have to remember what Jack Nicholson was doing before Joker. This guy was doing serious films like Last Detail, The Shining, what's it called, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So he was seen as a very serious actor. But when you look at that Joker thing where he completely was fully eccentric, because as Jack Nicholson said, this is why I say like you shouldn't compare Jack Nicholson's Joker with Heath Ledger's Joker because they're doing different things. Jack Nicholson was making a character for kids. And as he said himself, like, no, I wanted my Joker to scare kids. And I wanted this, and this is why I remember when I was young, I was like, oh my gosh, the Joker terrified me when I was young because I don't really like clowns. But because I was doing it to terrify kids. And that kind of acting where you're fully out there, fully eccentric, it was probably amazing. And I think he was so amazing, it's laid the foundation and the platform that's made the character so iconic. And really, whether it's Heath, whether it's Mark Hamill, whether it's Joaquin Phoenix, whether it's Jared Leto, they all were inspired and took something from Jack Nicholson, because before that, all he had was Cesar Romero and the Joker in the comics. But Jack Nicholson pretty much gave you the platform for what you could do with the character on film. By this guy is just fully out there, similar to what Keaton did with the comic book industry and the genre, specifically with Batman. I don't know, we can make these things really dark and really serious, So that's my thing there. So let's just see. So 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left. Send in those questions, man. 10 minutes left. Send in those questions. Crazy. Okay, John Wick. Um. So yeah, Wolf of Wall Street. See, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I should even watched the because there was like an interview with the actual guy who talked about it. But and let me see now. Maybe this will go. Talk to us, take us another era about the DiCaprio, which I sort of touched upon it in my in another video that I did. But what I would say about Wolf of Wall Street, again, amazing the direction, like the direction of that. Because remember, that film. I think it was almost 3 hours. It was either 3 hours or just under 3 hours. So it was a really long film. But I just think that I think what people were surprised about was how Scorsese made a very contemporary film and a film that young people could really get into. I mean, like one of the most famous memes on the internet is the whole DiCaprio thing. Here, I'm still here kind of thing. So what's so impressive is a guy this old can make such a young film and such a vibrant film, man. So yeah. So John Wick movie of the decade for me. What I will say, the John Wick films that's the best franchise of the decade. I'll say. See, for me, okay, let's talk a little about John Wick. Let's move on John Wick. I'm a huge action movie junkie. Huge action movie junkie. So let me just take everything with John Wick. When I saw John Wick 1, I was like, oh my God. What I have been praying for so long. Keep the camera still. Let's see the action happening and let's see great choreography because we hadn't seen this since Matrix. And the reason why Matrix was so let's go deep. Let's go deep. The reason why Matrix was so revolutionary was the Wachowski said, "We're not going to do any cuts." No, but these are actors. They don't know how to fight. We are going to see these actors fight for real. No jump cuts. No cutaways, no stunt doubles. People are okay. Well, what we're going to do is you're going to have 5-6 months to train, so you look good on film. Because when you've trained for these 6 months, the audience is going to see Lawrence Fishburne do that crane kick. They're going to see Kenny Reeves do that double kick in the air. We're going to see Karen Moss do that scorpion kick. So you bloody well train because we want to watch you see it. And Matrix was so revolutionary beyond the bullet time, beyond the story, because like, oh, that's Keanu Reeves. That's Lawrence Fishburne. That's Karen Moss. They know cutaways. This is like Hong Kong movies where the camera is boom. So now what helped was, because remember, Chad Stahelski was Keanu Reeves' stunt double on the Matrix films. So him and David Leitch, they were both of the directors. So Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves already had a shorthand, and Keanu Reeves already had training from the Matrix. So that obviously already helps. But what was so amazing about John Wick was like, oh my God, the action. Now I'm a rarity here. I didn't care about the dog. People are like, oh no, John Wick was so good because it was all about the dog and how he was busy with the dog. See, that was cool, but for me, I was like, like I like John Wick. It was a very funny film, very irreverent, and it had like a nice, quirky nature. But what really got me into it was the amazing action choreography. John Wick 2 is the best in the franchise. You see, John Wick 2 was like, okay, now we're talking. Because they really focused on the Continental. For me, like the dog wasn't interesting to me. The Continental was what was interesting to me because now it was much more serious. It was like, no, this is now real right now. And we're now going into the deep nature of what the Continental was about. So, and the action in John Wick took to the next level. Like that whole thing where he went into the catacombs, his fights with Common on the train. I mean, my God, when he put that pencil into that guy's eye, I mean, it was John Wick 2 is superb. Superb. I won't go to the DVDs. John Wick 3. Now, I get it. This could have been one of the greatest trilogies of all time. John Wick 3, I thought this is the ending. And the ending is he dies. The ending is everyone comes after him. Everybody's after him. And he goes up against a formidable opponent. I would have wanted him to go to Japan and he fights like a samurai, like a yakuza or something like that, like the guy from Last Samurai, the second-hand man from Last Samurai. But Charles Stahelski said, I remember he said in an interview that Keanu Reeves is one of my best friends. We love making these films. Why do we want to stop? And we'll stop making these films once people get bored of them. So John Wick 3 had an amazing action. Like that whole scene with him on the bike with the samurai sword was insane. The scene with the knives was insane, but it was just another entry. Whereas I felt that it should have just had an ending. So with John Wick 3, I was just disappointed that they didn't close off the story and really crystallize what would have been, in my opinion, one of the greatest trilogies of all time. But with that being said, that is still, for me, the best. That's the best. That was the best franchise of the decade. Now, I know the Avengers and Thingy made all the money and everything, but the best franchise in terms of quality and impact was John Wick, and I think it did great things for the action movie genre. Absolutely amazing things for the action movie genre, So yeah, good question, man. So let's see. The Raid and Fury Road are better than John Wick. Now, let's break this down. The Raid isn't. The Raid is a really cool film, but my issue with The Raid was it ended up becoming repetitive. Great action, Look, Iko Uwais is an amazing practitioner. Some of those guys were in John Wick 3. But afterwards, it was a great concept. I mean, like, let's, slowly going up the building. Great concept. Also, the theme song by Mike Shinoda and the dude from Deftones, great song. I've got it on my playlist. It was good, but it got a bit repetitive. And I think the story and the lore of John Wick was stronger. Fury Road is different. John Wick is old school action martial arts. Fury Road is a chase movie. It's a chase movie. And an incredibly well-made chase movie. My issues with Fury Road is they made they made Mad Max into a loser. The Mad Max was a side chick in his own film. That was my issue with Fury Road. They made him a side chick in his own film. But Fury Road is different. Those are different films. So see, as a film, it's different. People say, okay, as a film, is Fury Road better than John Wick? No, Fury Road is doing something very different. Like John Wick 2 is a bloody amazing action film for what it's trying to do. But what I will say is Fury Road and John Wick, I think, are better than The Raid. The Raid is amazing. But I would say Fury Road and John Wick better than The Raid. All right, let's just start see. Let's see. Jojo. Okay, that's good. Okay, Naren, what is your boy Lukaku, man? Lukaku's boy Jingo. What is Christopher Nolan's worst film? To me, it's between Dark Knight Rises, which I liked, and Dunkirk. Now, I haven't seen Dunkirk. I've not seen Dunkirk. But his worst film is Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises is a bad film. Straight up. Rises is a bad film. Maybe he was forced to do it, or he rushed it, or he wasn't really concentrating. Rises is a mess. I don't know whether I've said this before. I've never felt more. Maybe after Transformers, I didn't feel embarrassed. Transformers, I just felt sickened after Transformers. But I've never felt more embarrassed than I did at the end of Rises. I was like, so Batman nuked himself. So you piece of crap. So you see Michael Keaton in Batman, especially in Batman Returns, where I say, no, I am Batman for life. I am Batman for life. But this clown, this flipping clown, decided to retire. He decided to now go into respiratory and retire. So I was like, excuse me? What? Retire? For what? Sad. Just really sad, man. Really sad. So yeah, Rises for me was just a mess. So that is easily his worst film. I've not seen Dunkirk. Because a lot of people say, "Oh no, Insomnia was boring and everything." Well, Insomnia was all right. Interstellar might be his second worst. No. Rises was worse than Interstellar because Interstellar still had some interesting things. No, Rises is right. Rises is worse for man, for sure, man. Tenet. All right, let's see. Okay, maybe I'll take one last question, man. Make it a good one. One last question, man. One last question, and then I'm out of here. One last question, and I'm out of here, man. It's been a nice good hour. Oh my gosh, someone said Love Island. What the hell? Oh yeah, Inception. It is a ripoff of Paprika. Apparently. Okay. All right. I think that is all from your boy here, Half Up. So I would try and do these a lot more often. I'll try. Well, so my idea is to do this every Wednesday. Obviously, you know that the football show has to take priority as I slowly build up this Football Hot channel, man. But remember, if you haven't already, remember to subscribe. You know, it's the journey to 1,000 subs on this whole thing. So, but the idea right now is Darian. That is true. Superman. So let me just end. So yeah, so the movie show, so this movie live show is going to be every Wednesday. As maybe try and sort out my schedule and everything, I'll try and do it a bit more often. But for you guys out there, for the movie show, do you like it to be happen every Wednesday, or would you want it every Saturday, every Friday? So what would be a good day or good days for you to be doing this live movie show? Tell me in the live chats, when is the good day to do the live movie show? So why don't you tell me that? Superman. What direction should Warner Brothers and DC go with Superman? You see, and I think this is a discussion that I've been having with my brothers for a long time, you know, and we were even having this during the Superman Returns era. Off the heels of Joker and the kind of impact that Joker has made, I think that you've got to hire a much more serious director and make a more serious Superman film. Now, obviously, people say, okay, the difficulty is Superman because it's not really grounded in reality and everything, but you're dealing with a Jesus type figure. And I think that Tim Burton was on the right path with what he wanted to do with Superman Lives. Because what he wanted to do with Superman Lives was this dude is an alien. And let's try and realistically and seriously investigate that concept of an alien tasked with being the protector of Earth and humanity. So for me, just that this, you know, you can do it again because this stupid loser called, well, what's his face? Snyder ruined it. Doom. See, if it was me and they gave me the reins, I would do a two-parter. And it would be the Doomsday Saga. Similar to what Tim Burton was going to do, i.e., you kill Superman, he rises up, and then he comes back. So it's the Doomsday Saga. He fights Doomsday. Doomsday kills him. The Earth is like in a dark kind of place. Superman now has to rethink himself, resurrect himself, comes back in the black suit, long hair, and comes back to reclaim and pretty much save Earth, man. So, but really, it should have really been Mel Gibson directing, Jim Caviezel being the actor. But you have to have a much more realistic take. Not so much realistic, a much more serious take on the Superman character. I would not say a serious take. It's not, you don't have to make it dark and gloomy and everything. It's you're treating the material a lot more seriously. And you're focusing much more on the fact of this guy being an alien protector. The issue with Man of Steel was you were trying to be dark in a very manufactured, cheap way. Because for some, it's like, oh no, I want to make him dark and serious. Superman is not a dark character. He's not. That was the issue with Amazing Spider-Man. Was like, no, Spider-Man is not a dark character. Batman is a dark character. Superman isn't. He's a hopeful character. But even if he's a hopeful character, you can still do that in a serious way and give that a much more of a serious spin. So that's what I think that they should do. pretty much. So guys, look, man, it's been swell. It's been good. Maybe you can remember to follow me on my Twitch. I try and do some Twitch stuff every single night. Do a bit of gaming here and there. So yeah, man, I'm out. I'm good. I will see you guys next Wednesday for the show. Hopefully, I'll have Red as the co-host. Peace out. I'm out.